Okay, so we are going to show how to replace the volute spring on a 5612 rowing machine. When your volute spring comes, the two nuts over here on each side are not going to be on your replacement part, but they are on your original volute spring. So you're going to have to remove these two on each side from your old volute spring and place them on this one. You're going to have one of the nuts here be kind of lined up with the pulley, so it shouldn't stick out too much this way or be too much inside. This one should be as close as possible but not rubbing the casing of the spring inside. So to replace it, first thing you're gonna make sure is that you're gonna get your belt onto the axle. If you don't get it, then you can simply put the volute spring inside, but then you still have to attach the belt. So it might be at times a little tricky because of the small space we're working with. You're gonna try and position this on the axle, just like that, and then try to wiggle your volute spring on, making sure that your belt stays on. But as you can see, there's going to be a little tricky area that we're going to have to work with. It's that tight space over there. So we're going to have to try and work our way in on the belt. What we're going to do, we're going to put it on top of the pulley, and then making sure that the other side is inside the fork. Then you position your belt on top and then you turn. And now you got your belt back on. At this point, you can start assembling the remaining pieces, which will be your other two nuts, the guide bolts, the brackets, and the nut. One key thing to remember is when you do start the assembly is to make sure your belt is straight over here, because if it's too far to the side, down inwards, or too much outside, there's going to be a little noise. Every time the grooves go over each other, you're going to hear like a belt noise, and it's going to be very unpleasant, and it will also tear your belt apart. So make sure that they are lined up. If you can do like a visual to see, you'll do more alignment once you have everything on. Okay, so now we're going to place the bolt, the guiding bolt. Let me show you. It has a little lip, so it would go in that way on both sides. Then I'm gonna take the bracket and the small nuts too. We're gonna tighten by hand a little bit to make sure that it doesn't fall out. Same thing on the other side. Now that you secure these two, we're going to attach the two nuts that we have for the axle. One key thing to remember, that this axle has to be tight, but not super tight, because in order for us to gain the tension in the strap when we pull, we need to make sure this is under tension. So we're going to initially put the bolts on by hand. And then you're going to tighten the small adjustable bolt. What this does puts tension on your belt. So when you pull, it will turn the flywheel, the small flywheel over here, and you get the recoil back. So we're going to partially tighten this. Remember, we still need to tighten this piece. But before we do that, let's do the guide bolts. Now we're going to tighten the axle nuts. Okay, one key thing, as I said, the volute spring needs to be under tension, right? So you're going to have to make sure that these nuts are tightened, and then we put tension on the volute spring before we finalize the belt and everything else. So to do that, you might need 2 wrenches. To basically tighten both sides. We don't want to over tighten yet because we want to get the volute spring under tension. So to do that, you're gonna turn the belt just like I do it right now, 5 or 6 times. You're gonna feel at this point that your volute spring wants to go opposite way. You turn towards you, your volute spring wants to turn the other way. So that is what you're gonna do until you feel like there's probably enough tension on it. Because as I go, you see it goes the other way. So you're building the resistance in your strap in another way, because if you don't put any resistance on it, then you're gonna have slack when you roll. Your belt is not gonna retract. So I think I have enough resistance at this point. Make sure you hold on to it. What I'd like to is tighten my guide bolt so there's no play. And now you're gonna go through it. Like I basically reached my max because I turned too much. So I'm going to release a little bit, and now I'm going to run the belt through the top. Like I said, you will, if you let it go, you will slip. So, and then you have to run it to do it again. Let's run it over. It would be nice to have an extra pair of hands to grab it, but I guess we'll figure it out. Now that you have it under, you take I removed the foam on one side because that's the only way you can get the strap out. So once you remove it, after you insert the handlebar, make sure you place the foam back on, otherwise chances are the strap will retract back in. resistance, and then this part is still a little loose on mine. It's all nice and tight. We can test to see if we can row. Let's try. There's enough tension, everything retracts. At this point, you will just go ahead and place the covers, reconnect the wire for the meter, the tension. It will be on the cover that you removed, and it should be final. Just remember to turn the volute spring until you're almost unable to turn it anymore, because otherwise, if you put it on without turning it, without creating the tension, the counter tension, then what you replace it, you're not going to have any, like you pull out and it's not going to be anything retracting because the coil is not going to turn. The key is after you replace when you put the volute spring on, to turn, to turn this way, because the volute spring is going to want to go that way. So you're creating the counter resistance for when you pull, it goes back on.